Hello everybody, Perpetual Panda here. Welcome to a game I found on Steam called The Beginner's Guide. Now it does actually say that this is about an hour to an hour and a half long game, and that it's not really a game, more or less of an experience. So I figured, sounds like a good idea. Let's get right into it. Yes, audio is on. Controls WASD.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011.
Okay.
We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com.
Does that actually work?
Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Oh, that's trippy. Yeah, it's nothing but white walls. Oh, where's the door? There it is. Whisper machine. Status active. Evacuate immediately.
Warning. Whisper machine active. Shift to structure imminent.
Oh my god, I actually have bullets.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Which way do I go?
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
Oh no. The door opens, but it leads to nothingness.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately, we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Ah, there we go.
Begin ship evacuation.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Wow. Dude, for their first game, I think this actually looks really nice. The fact that you made space. I don't know.
Apparently, this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on.
No, I want to figure this out. Damn it. Screw you.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the Whisper Machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the Whisper Machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Should I? I mean, fate of the world is at hands, but at the same time, is my life more important?
This is not a branching point, unfortunately. The only option is to step into the beam.
Well, fuck you. Maybe I want to sit here and admire the textures. The bland, gray, non-polygonal textures. No, fine. I'll give in.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Oh. Oh. Oh, that's so cool!
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be
so
the
cool.
afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Oh, so cool. You could see the entire path. Oh. Okay.
Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
Oh. Oh, that's so cool. That's incredible.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be
leave the
more
past behind you, but the
focused,
future
more
can't be seen
complete.
if you're walking backwards.
Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Oh, this is so cool. This is such a cool concept. When she stops and looks, it becomes clear. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, Jesus. Oh, oops. That's such a cool concept. What if the future is always behind her? How will she find the strength? There was a door there!
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works,
so cool.
because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
What? Okay, can I walk forward this time? You are now entering.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting. Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
Well, sometimes you start working on a project and you don't like it.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
No, I'm gonna do this all the way. I'm gonna keep going. I'll make it there eventually. One step at a time. So, how you guys doing? Oh, really? You actually got outside today? Good for you. That sounds amazing. It's actually 80 degrees out today. Really should go outside. Maybe go for a walk or do something fun. Almost there, guys. Almost there. Man, the suspense is killing me. The suspense. What lies at the top of this door? What lies at the top of this stairwell? I must know. You know, this game designer is actually really cool. I mean, it's kind of bad that he just throws away each project, but at the same time I can understand it. Like, you don't like what you're creating, so you just stop. If we think about it retrospectively from this way, we wouldn't have this if the creators didn't stop making these games. Almost there, guys. Almost there. I can see the doorway. Almost there. What, nothing, narrator? Nothing about how I haven't pressed the enter button yet? I really want to know what's on the other side of this door. Oh, I see textures. I see colors. I have no feet. Did I make it? almost in there. Oh, the build up. This is really pretty room. Can I get in? Are you not going to say anything until I press enter? Ah. You are great. You start in a small room until you realize you can just walk through
A
walls.
room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas
You run
for
a shop
games.
inside your own body selling organs.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Live on a boat taking orders from the captain. The captain is always wrong. Ready, set, fish. Okay. Don't understand. I hear rain.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Right. Aha. I get it. Oh.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
Okay.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
I don't wanna modify the game. This game's perfect the way it is. You gonna say anything? Bro, you gonna say anything? Sorry, I'm just shifting my desk around. So that way I can actually play. Dude, this is some really good texturing. Like, that actually looks like a concrete wall. Alright. I'm gonna give in to the narrator. Whoa. Whoa.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Oh, we're back here again. We're now exiting.
Aha! So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game.
Dude,
There's
I
a
think
bigger
you're
picture that all of his
making
games are meant to
assumptions.
play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
Dude, I think you're just making assumptions on an artist's rendition. It's not always have to make a connection. Not everything has to be intertwined. You know? You guys feel me, right? This is a pretty cabin.
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
Oh, I can jump!
The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up
There was
making.
a set of stairs over here.
You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Yeah. Ah. Oh, there was no point to this. Well, hi. Alright. Start jumping. Oh, oh, oh. No. No! Shite. Oh! Alright, good to know that there's no falling damage. Oh, well. So what's to prevent me from going all the way to the bottom in one go? Oh shit, that was close. Can't hold on much longer. Okay, we made it to the bottom here. There's a staircase going down. Okay. Okay. Nothing but cattle stables. Apparently I stepped on an elevator.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
No, I want to know what it's like being in solitary for a solid hour. Because see,
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere.
They're playable.
There wasn't.
A game doesn't have to be playable. Someone could just make a game just to make a game. Honestly. Christ, I would sit there and make a game just to say,
It's the puzzle again.
I made
The
this.
exact same solution as the last time. There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Because it's simple and finite, and he knows how to make it. Not every person can create these spectacular puzzles that people can't solve.
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Yes. Did you have to get through a puzzle at $2 in switches? Yes, I did. It literally the last thing I did before coming here. Again, perfect. Now please tell us how you solved it. Trust me, you don't want to go over there. How did you get here? There was a puzzle you had to pass through. No, I've been right here the entire time. I suggest you go and see the puzzle sometime. It's not meant to be solved, but you can sit back in a black space in the middle. What happens if I solve it? Not sure, but if I have any suspicion that you won't be worth what it takes to get here.
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
Oh, hold on, guys. I gotta put on, Are there... I assume closed captioning is also subtitles. So this is quaint.
It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out.
Represents the inner mind,
I'll tell you what I
sparking an
think.
idea.
I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose.
They don't need a
and maybe you
purpose.
can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. These games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Bro, I think you're misinterpreting all of this. A game doesn't need a purpose. A game could just be someone stretching their creative mind. Hell, if I wanted to go into the Unity engine right now and just build a simple box for me to stand in, I'd build it because it made me feel accomplished. Like I did something. Nice room. Not. These people's comments.
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up.
Don't need a point.
I saw him working on this very level.
Everyone's saying that
and
he
it was
needs
just
to have a point.
so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person.
Oh, holy shit.
In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too
guys hear me?
pushy, trying to get his attention.
I can hear you, Coda.
I was over-enthusiastic.
Hello?
But he
I
was
can hear
very
you,
gracious
Coda.
about it and very patient with me.
Reasonable.
And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip
Everyone
over
read
any of
this.
they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is
Hey.
going to happen if you read all of them.
This place makes
Either
me
way,
sad.
to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and
wanna tell you a secret. Once
feelings
upon a time
and
I-
beliefs
I did.
and has no way to express them
Find fun.
except as scattered and unheard voices
I'm
in a
the king
game
of
that
the
wasn't meant to be
world.
played.
I'm gonna read every single one of these. Get over
But
there,
it's
Rose.
ironic, isn't it? That
Wrote much
in
wrong.
playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be
I'd
honest
rather
with
be
you,
doing literally
this idea is
anything other
really
than
seductive
playing
to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt
In
like
a
they
world
let
full
me
of
have
notes,
that
one man will
connection.
read them this summer.
I felt as
You'll
though
believe
he was
him.
inviting me
Speech bubbles
personally
can talk.
into his world,
Do you feel like
and then I
you
feel
really
less
have-
lonely too.
The game is so nice. I would like it with them when I could. Do not be afraid to care. Just saw a flying penguin, let me tell you, it was the most majestic thing I've ever seen. I don't feel like living because nothing will ever be as majestic as that. I never want to see it. Want to see again if nothing will ever be as beautiful again. I am crying now and plan on ripping my eyes out. I must go do that. Okay. How is there wood and grass and concrete here? What the fuck? Balls. What the shit is this cavern? Boring. No, I honestly think this looks beautiful. Look at this design, this attention to detail. I can assure you, you guaranteed that there's an acorn somewhere here in this place, and the sailors are looking for it. What sailors? Hey guys, just looking for someone to talk with. I refuse to believe. Butt-ass butt. I need to go to the frickin' bathroom. Recognize me, please. Notice me! At least I can jump in this game. There's nothing here. Go back. Don't listen to that guy. A free t-shirt? Oh boy! Need other side door. Why you so? Door how open? Open sesame. Makes game. Includes door. Cannot open door. Thanks. Someday I will meet a person who made this. I help people because of the literal good feeling I get. No room! Do you hear the chimes? They keep going, don't they? Would like very much to be desired. Scared of something, I don't want to feel judged. It's not very crowded here. Welcome! Congratulations! I don't really know where to go with this. You can go here, I think. Ah! Don't bother. Game where you leave notes and suddenly everyone's a poet. This is where I get off. I failed to write anything here. I am compelled. Stop, turn back, proceeding further will only result in misery. Oh, will it now? Take my hand, let's jump together. Cabbage shapes our nation. What is that painting? It's a piece of abstract art. What does it look like? Does not matter if you ever get over there. Hey, don't talk about me that way. Very good game. I think this is not going anywhere. Next time I will do better. I need someone to talk to. Is this a note? Don't listen to the other notes. I'm not safe. Today I learned you cannot fall off. Ethical. I saw a person walking down there. Now it won't come back. Devil Tower Star. Well done, all of you. Painting, what does it mean? Stop faking it. Whoever made this has issues. No. Art. From here it just looks like dots. I think dots are messy from up close, perfect from far away. Hey guys, how's it going? Just hanging. Hello, I'm trying to speak. Who are all of you? We will all die someday. Cabbage shapes our nation. Spoilers, doesn't mean anything. Stop pretending you're other people. It's about how this game is pretentious and you all suck. Devil Tower Star. He was himself the most horrible creature he could imagine. Maybe I feel real someday. Well, I'm here now. Yeah, we're all here now. There must be a reason for it, though. This terrible secret came up well. I beat the game! No, you didn't! More room?
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again.
Scared of writing
And here,
something.
I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it.
Escape.
And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
Well, I wish there were notes in real world. Become one with the spiraling nonsense. Don't worry, keep digging.
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works,
Almost at the end.
and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
Does this puzzle have a solution? OMG, I've been here before, literally an hour. What the fuck do I do? Help! Shit, how do you solve it? Developer answers, please. Help!
And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces,
Heading back to the start
before
later,
you move
guys.
on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
Oh, Jesus. What? These are all the typewriters leaving the notes. I'm here. Hey, June.
Okay, this one is tough. It's gonna kinda just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Okay. What a pretty well. Oh, what a nice painting. This place is lovely. Wait, how did I get
This
to
is
the
it,
well?
the whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
Oh, a giant hole in the ground. Ten stoves lined up along the wall. A skylight, ceiling window. Let's open this baby up. Tables were invented in 1935.
There's a bit more to this one, but still it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
That's kind of cool.
So okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Follow instructions carefully to take it. Remember each step. First, click the step. Good. Turn it slightly. Now turn the floor lamp in this room off, and then turn it back on. left side sofa and making it move a little. Finally, touch the shelves. That's it. In a real prison, the escape will now open. Return to the start and be taken back to your prison. Oh. Return.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape. Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just walk you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But
well, he
Coda
likes the
doesn't
idea.
have that voice telling you to stop. That particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going. And then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
It got ominously quiet. Again, I think you're telling this from a different perspective, like your own personal interpretation of this. No. Who's this? Hey, it's me.
It's a conversation. And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
It was comfortable. I knew its limits in my place. Don't you feel excited about getting down the promise of freedom? Adoption too. You don't need to, you just need to be patient. Having limits is more important than you probably realize right now. I will be here for as long as you need, brother.
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice? So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself? To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the two doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Oh, hey.
You'll notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
Okay, I'll run to the bedroom and make my bed. This is the bathroom. There's the bedroom. Straightened out the pillows and the sofa. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, make it especially cheesy. I'm a good listener. Stupid, sorry. Never mind. Hey, these dishes need to be washed. Why don't you come do that? Last I checked, the tub needed cleaning. Okay. Are there still books scattered out of the floor of the bedroom? If so, could you put them back on the shelf? Now then, how about you come clean these dishes off the shelf?
After the intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something
Next
meaningful.
time you're going to clean a lot of houses, and among those, a few of them will stick out truly wonderful and beautiful experiences. And none of them will be the ones that were easy. Just something to think about while you smooth out
I know
the
that
rug in the
Coda really
bedroom.
liked this game. Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time. He just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
Earlier when I said really cheesy thought, I was going to say that it occurs to me that one house is a lot like one soul. You take care of it, it takes care of you. Don't know why I felt weird about saying that. I get it, it's a weird thing to say to someone you just met. Anyway, so, housekeeping. Let's keep doing this. Books, would you please clean up the books? No problem, I love this. The music makes it so much better.
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace.
Question.
But, of course,
Do you
it
enjoy
can't
this?
last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
The cleaning.
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
No. Again, this is just an artist creating
This one
something.
gets a bit goofy.
Hello. Okay. This workshop is going to teach you how to be perfect. I want your friends, people in your life to look at you and think, wow, this person's a better human being than I am. Right now, who do you think about that way in your life?
About halfway through the game, the perspective shifts. And you play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
Anyone want to do some ecstasy after this?
I felt pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human. I think about this game a lot these days. This one took a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
super scared right now. I like you.
The game ends with this eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer. But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
Well, yeah, because you're giving him criticism. Don't get me wrong. I love criticism. Like, I know when I get told what I'm not doing right. But I feel like you're giving him the illusion that his games aren't complete. Like, as soon as you start seeing, like, the spiral staircase, you're like, this game is not complete. There is no ending. There is no objective. Where this guy is just trying to create. He's just trying to be a normal human being who likes to build, who likes to create games. But because you're just like, this game is unfinished, there's no purpose, there's nothing, it's kind of shutting him down and creating this fear that if he gives his creations out to anybody, that no one's going to like them. Alright. To play this game properly, you must keep your eyes closed, alright?
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise. And there is a solution, by the way. Like I said, I was getting concerned. First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from? But then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way.
No.
His games are going to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new. If the last game featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations, this one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even.
You're
And yet
misinterpreting
still,
it.
he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for? Because from my perspective at the time and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on. You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
It's not. It's not though. Making a game is not easy. It wasn't true.
Seeing this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like, video games are not worth this amount of suffering. This is someone I really cared about. And I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me. I don't know. This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so lost. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop. But it didn't stop.
There was someone in there.
After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
You guys don't need answers. I just made this on a whim.
And of course, it's the machine.
You stopped. have a gun? Why do I have a gun again? Oh. Oh.
So now the work is becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games.
No, he
It
doesn't
might get
want
him
it.
out of isolation. And so,
Doesn't
as I'm
want the
thinking this,
feedback.
I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for him? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral?
No, it would just
Would it
make
give him
it worse.
confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work? So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
That's not the point.
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When
what
someone
you
really
think and what
connects with
other
the thing
people
that I've
think.
made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something, I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy.
He didn't want his games to be shown.
So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
Dude, this is so bad. You did the worst thing
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, the tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game.
He didn't want his work to be shown. He just made it for creative instinct, and he thought he'd show somebody that he knew and trusted.
This room actually has a maze in it. except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze. And to be fair, it's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze?
So you're telling me what you did was you took Coda's games and you modified them to be playable. You're kidding me. You took someone's own personal work and modified it to your own
The only way
needs.
past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
You destroyed a creator's creativity. You did the worst possible thing.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem.
You literally fixed every other thing that was wrong with his games.
But I
Why
open
can't you fix
door
this
for you,
one?
So, let me do that.
See? See, you just fixed that
Was I
problem.
a failure for not understanding this game? I mean, I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why.
Because you didn't
I remember,
understand his
it's June of
point.
2011. I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is.
You don't. You never
It
hung out
wasn't
with
the
him.
guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years, I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't.
He doesn't have to. He left it for open interpretation.
I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left, and it felt somehow like I had failed.
You did. You did what you shouldn't have done.
Where did I screw up?
You went behind his back and showed his game. That's where you screwed up.
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you.
Exactly.
I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable.
You've infected my personal
And
space. That
the
is
people who
possible.
played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself.
Would it make you happier if there was an answer or a meeting, Davey? You're the one who added the lampposts?
And then you stopped, and I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What does that mean?
Struggling to come up with new ideas is not making me depressed. Low points are just a part of the process. You don't understand this person. That's what he was trying to get to you all along.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself. That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work, is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. And I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
Epilogue. Whoa. What?
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease. Solution.
Is that it? Oh, there's more.
I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons.
Exactly. Maybe he just likes making that type of game. You went about this
Even
all
now,
wrong.
the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
What? Where am I?
If I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like. What now?
Nothing.
I think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for. And so I'm just gonna... Okay.
And we're back again. Wait, is that the whisper machine? No, it can't be. Whoa. Holy cow. It's a big maze.
Turn back from this cave. You said, let me prove that I'm brave, let me keep going. But the cave goes for miles and miles and miles, and you're so tired, but I know that you're strong, so turn back,
I'm speechless.
turn back.
He basically just took a creator's games and did what he thought would be right by giving him feedback from other people that he showed them to. But in the end, the creator didn't want anyone to see them. It was just his own thing. Man. Damn. I don't know how to feel about that. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Show that like button some love with a big bear hug, and remember, stay cute, stay cuddly, and I'll be back before you can say bamboo. See you soon.